how do you serve that 25-year-old police officer differently than somebody else who would be wanting to serve that person?
Well, I have a couple advantages in that I'm a police chaplain myself. And so I've been in the car with them. I'm not imagining or drawing from popular media, TV shows and movies. I've actually been in the car during a car stop. I've actually walked up to the house on a domestic violence call and been afraid to stand in front of the front door for fear that they might shoot through the door. I've felt that fear myself. And so, there's things like that about the behavior and the movement of cops and the things they're thinking about in the back of their mind while they're talking to you that I've felt in my own body. I know what that's like. And so I have a little bit of an advantage. I'm not a sworn officer. I'm not actually a police officer myself, but I work alongside them. I'm in a department embedded with them, doing the things they do, being with them, at the beginning of their shift at a roll call. I go to like 180 of those a year. And so every week or so, I'm in the police station, interacting with them, listening to them talk about their retirement and their days off and all the stuff, their equipment and everything else. But then I've also gone out with them into the city and been involved. And so I'm speaking from a place of some authority because I'm not guessing. I'm not trying to reach an audience that I don't know personally. And so being super laser focused on an audience that I know, I can speak, like I said, with some authority. I can be super, super focused. And that actually provides me a second angle that I think is important for a podcaster to consider. Because as podcasters, we all want to be Joe Rogan. We all want to have everybody listen, which he doesn't actually get everybody, but we think we want everybody in the world to listen to your podcast. But I'm super, super, super focused. There's only like 600,000 cops in the entire country. And I'm focused on patrol cops, younger cops. I'm really focused. I'm narrowing it down smaller and smaller and smaller. And people get afraid of that. Podcasters get afraid of having that narrow of a focus because you worry that you're leaving too much on the table and there's going to be potential listeners that won't listen to you. But I learned from working in the church, because that's my day job. I work in the church, that we have this time in some churches, and actually my church doesn't do it anymore, but you would have this thing during the church service where you'd bring all the little kids up to the front. And then the pastor comes down and teaches a little Bible lesson for like 5 minutes to the little kids. And it seems like everybody else is being ignored. But actually what's happening is while he's talking to the little kids directly, just a few feet away from them, all of the parents lean in and listen. And those adults might actually listen more closely to that 5-minute lesson than the whole sermon that is directed at them. And that's called overhearing. And overhearing is a powerful thing that we tap into psychologically, that when it's not directed at us, like our defenses go down. And when it's something interesting, like police work, our interest goes up, our defenses are down. I think that I have listeners who are not cops. They've never been cops. They're not related to cops. But they listen to my show that's directed very laser focused at police officers because they're overhearing. And they learn lessons, they get value, they benefit from the wisdom of police officers talking to other police officers, even though they themselves have never been in law enforcement.
So at your church or at somebody's church, let's pretend that there are 600 people in the room. And let's pretend that there are max of 40 kids within a certain range.
Sure.
Max of 40 kids within a certain range. So that preacher, that pastor, that deacon, that bishop or whatever,
right,
is up in front of a congregation and they say, I only want the kids from this age to this age. Let's just pretend it's
right
4, 5, and 6. Let's just pretend randomly.
Right. Yeah, little kids come up to the front of the room. Yep.
All of them leave. And what you're saying is that in many cases, even though it's only for less than 10% of the population, sometimes the other 90-ish% of the population leans in, gets on the edge of their seat and makes sure that know exactly what is happening.
It's not for them. And that piques some people's interest that it's not for me. And we think everything has to be super hyper targeted. And there's a place for that. There really is. That's what marketing accomplishes, is it matches the customer with the service or the product. And that's great. But that's not the full picture. And for me, my podcast is doing better than it probably has ever deserved, because people are overhearing and they want to know, what do cops say to other cops? And they lean in and they listen, even though I'm really making no effort to market to them or to even talk to them. But I've got some faithful fans that they support the show. They listen, they download in the first hour every week, because they want to hear what cops say to other cops.